Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with veteran jazz drummer and bandleader Bernie Dresel on the 2021 CD, The Pugilist. Our first interview with Bernie was back in 2017 when the world was a much different joint. We talked to him about this strange new COVID-19 world and his new 2021 CD. This project was done on the backdrop of the COVID-19 pandemic spanning several months during 2021. The album was recorded without the band ever playing together at the same time. Instead, each of the 17 musicians recorded their particular parts, including improvised solos, separately in their own home studio setting. The construction of the album and the survival of jazz has been remarkable, and we discuss this and so much more. Enjoy.
Are you calling from your car?
Yeah, that's when I do my best thinking. It's all hands-free, the world's blowing by me, and my brain's moving. So
nice.
Good.
Nice.
You know, the last time we spoke, the world was under a very different circumstance, and I think if either of us would have been told at that point that things would take the turn they have, we probably wouldn't believe them.
It's so true. I mean, everything kind of got put on hold, and we go, okay, what can we do in the meantime? But ultimately, it was false starts, and I started practicing a little more. Okay, I'm really going to blow people away. I'm going to be really good on my instrument, and then maybe a couple months go by, or even a couple weeks, and you go, oh gosh, we don't have a place to play right now. Okay, maybe I'll watch the Dodgers instead.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
But yeah, crazy time. Even though right as it started, like we'll be coming up on, a couple of years here, at least in Los Angeles in March, of really when that first lockdown started. I was reading about the Spanish flu in 1918 and going, ooh, I mean, we're hoping this will be a few weeks, but man, it looks like it could be a couple of years if it does that. And here we are almost. Yeah, it's crazy.
Which when I heard that, it scared the hell out of me. I'm thinking I got kids in school. I have all of these things that just would be, I mean, us adults have different thresholds, but when you start dealing with kids and their perceptions of reality and how all this is going to play out, it's just absolutely frightening,
Right.
So, but it's true.
And for people that had to stop working, especially many musicians, if you didn't have a good buffer of money saved up, which, I mean, I had some, and my wife was actually still doing some teaching remotely. She's a middle school band director. We still had some income coming in the family, even when I'm sitting there dead in the water from working, recording sessions like I would do, like Family Guy and some movies and Simpsons, and so I have a recording career along with playing live, but all that stopped, and that's like, ooh. So for the people that didn't have even some money saved up, it's very scary. Like, what kind of income is going to come in so I can eat and live, and can I keep my house or apartment or whatever? It's very scary.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, before we get into the Pugilist, let's go back to that time. What was your last show, in March of 2020? How did you figure out your whole landscape was getting rearranged?
We were then debating, I did a show with not my band, but I was doing another, I do a lot of different styles, and I was going to I did a rockabilly show right before lockdown, and even that, the club where we played at was not that well attended. It was already filtering out, maybe not go out, and then it was the harder lockdown. But my band was scheduled to play, and they were debating whether to do it. And then the owner, it's a club in Los Angeles called The Write-Off Room. And he's so smart. He just went, okay, I'm closed. This is like 2 weeks after the lockdown, something like that, where they're talking about opening up or again or whatever it was, the timeline. But he closed right away. He just closed his joint. And then he bid on another place 8 months later, which is still a long time, And then now he's been remodeling it for the last year, and he's planning on reopening in March or April. So I think he knew before anybody. Seemed smart, he was the predictor of what was, the timeline almost that would be 2 years, and maybe that says something that, once we get through this winter, we might be looking pretty good. And that's all we keep hoping for that. But I really think there's something to be said for that timeline of the 2 years. Yeah.
When you look back on all the self-reflection you've gone through, what did you realize about yourself that maybe you didn't realize before that's going to make you stronger now that you promote this new album and get back to live performance?
Well, I'm not sure if this answers the question directly, but it is something to say. I'm good at flapping my gums, And a lot of us, we learned how to self-record in your own, like if you didn't have a home studio already, then you were kind of, you're starting to get calls. Okay, we're going to do recording for this movie, Minions, and but you got to do it from your home studio. So people that didn't have home studios, whether you're a sax player or whoever, had to suddenly put together a studio where they could record remotely and learn Pro Tools or the software to record yourself. So suddenly, you're not just a player when you're recording alone. You're an engineer. You're also the producer because there's no one there to go, yeah, that was good, or give me a little less 16th on the hat. You have to make all those decisions and then send them the tracks. As a skill, we learned about ourselves to kind of move with the times that we had to record from home. And that's one of the things that this new album, The Pugilist, is different. I'm not a writer per se. I'm a drummer, and I'm a percussionist. I'm the musician, but I don't write the music. I can do a little arranging, but I don't with this band, with the BBB featuring Bernie Dresel, my big band. The first album, Live and Burnin', was recorded live at a club with an audience, warts and all, and recorded 18 tunes, picked the best 14. Then the second album, Burn, Burn, Burn. You can see the burn puns coming, from my name, Bernie. I recorded the drums at Sunset Sound, and then the band, meaning the rest of the band, the horns, recorded at Capitol. So, per se, a studio album. So this third album, The Pugilist, the recording story is different again, brought on by the pandemic. We all recorded individually. Like I recorded the drums to MIDI tracks, so this was different that we'd never played these tunes before even as a band. So I played to MIDI, fake keyboard, horns, and bass, put my drums on, put a second drum set part on. This whole album is like 2 drum set players. And if you have the surround sound mixes that we offer too, there's drums in the front, drums in the back, and the rear, a second drummer, which is me. So that process of recording at home was the thing that we all learned and got better at. I mean, I had a home studio 10 years ago, but then I finally put that away and went, I'm not getting enough calls for that. People want drums with the full rhythm section. I'm not getting the calls, really. I'm going to stop doing this. And then when that pandemic hit, 5 years after me not having a studio, I went, okay, now's the time. That stuff I learned 10 years ago. All right, some of it's different now. I got to get some new mics, mic pre's to add to my up the ante. I'm going to switch from Digital Performer to a program called Pro Tools to record and get in that game. A lot of us learned musician-wise about that home recording thing. Now, what you learn about yourself is, and I got to be careful I don't get too emotional here, God. I'm an emotional Scorpio. This was hard on so many people. We don't even talk about or not counting, of course, people that died, and through all this. But this is very hard on people's marriages and incomes and, just this feeling of being cooped up, it's not good for the human soul and love. So I already knew I loved playing live. And when I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan when I was 2 and the audience screaming, and them playing so well, and the energy of a live audience and band was like almost the ultimate there of wow, the audience is almost overwhelming the band there and the reaction. So playing live has always been so important to me, to see the joy in a audience faces. Now, I'm a studio player that can pay more money than playing live, but obviously it's not about that. It's about, and we can record in the studio any style, jazz, rock, whatever. But playing that music in front of an audience and human soul and connection and them giving to you and you giving to them, it's such a joyous thing. And I think we all learn from that through this, how much we need other people, even though they bug us sometimes. But we know we need that, yeah. And so I think that's maybe one of the bigger things that the love for each other, like a family, you know. You love your brother, you hate your brother one day, you know. My brother's a drummer, too. He's the drummer on the Jimmy Kimmel Show for 18 years. So he's a few inches taller than me. He's 6 years younger, but not quite as good looking. So that's my brother, yeah. I love my brother, right? And so that's what we learned through all this, I think. What a long answer.
No, that's great. And you kind of cascaded through a number of questions that I have. I think that's the thing that I'm realizing. You know, I remember when I look at, like, all of these events that have gone on in our lives, I mean, like, 9/11 was the last time that we were all jolted pretty heavily. And we came back and we said we're going to do this, but it kind of faded away. I have a feeling after 2 years of this, year and a half of this, we are genuinely going to have a better appreciation for the community of human beings we're around.
That's the hope, right? And then sometimes people forget then, you know, and hopefully this in the back of our minds will always be riding that, you know, somebody cuts you off at a red light, whatever, you know, that it'll always be there even to a point of remembering this time, you know, going forward, even if you tend to forget, you know, about that and what, you know, forget that appreciation of that. Yeah. So I hope it stays with us a long time because I'm a lover.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though the album cover picture of the Pugilist is me with boxing gloves.
You got a boxing glove, yeah.
But I mean, in a way, you know, I had to fight through this all to create an album this time. But the word Pugilist, I didn't really know what it meant, you know. And our trombone player James McMillan wrote 5 arrangements and tunes on this record. He came up with the Pugilist, and I went, "What's that mean?" Oh, someone who fights with their fists. Oh, and the song is punchy and swinging, and it'll knock you out, and all those, you know, hyperboles of fight quotes. You know, we'll sting you like a BBB. You know, there's all kinds. People come up with their own. I went, oh, that's the perfect what I want from this album. I want it, you know, I'm a drummer. I want it to be punchy and hard hitting, and so. That's the album cover. It's the first of the 3 albums where my face is actually on the cover. So, and there I am without drumsticks, boxing gloves.
That's beautiful. You know, it's already alluring to have a big band with as many pieces as you have, but that had to be a very special achievement for you to get 17 pieces in separate locations put together into one.
People that are hearing it now, because it just came out yesterday. On November 17th is the actual release date. So the band hearing it for the first time, they just heard it along the way. Like if the lead trumpet, all he heard was me, MIDI tracks, and then he played. And then the next trumpet 2, and then trumpets 3 and 4 I sent. And then I go, okay, now let's add bone 1 and alto 1. Okay, now they're playing together, meaning not together, but they're following the previous person before them. I have men and ladies. I was going to say guys, but I have men and ladies in the band. It's different you're not really playing together. You're keep on adding on and hearing people that you're playing with or playing to. So it's a different thing. But as this is released and me being like your baby being born, you know, kind of a thing, people that are hearing it now are going, I think this is the best sounding of the 3 records, you know, and it sounds so good. So it's incredible how we did it, that actually we ended up getting maybe a better sound out of it. And then, like Alan Kaplan is our lead trombone 1, and he played with Buddy Rich. Like I remember seeing him live at the Top in Rochester on PBS, playing with Buddy, sitting right next to him, you know. He said, this is the best sounding big band record that I played on. And I think he was meaning the sound of it in a long, long time, or ever, or whatever. So you go through this process of 6 months, then you go, on a silver platter. Here it is, world. And you go,
yeah.
I hope they like it. Just like I hope the audience claps for us. Because not for ego's sake, just for like, oh, good, they enjoyed it. Oh, they like it. Hey, he likes it, So that's an interesting thing of the way it got put together, right? And there I am, staring at a computer screen for 6 months, bringing one part at a time, putting it together and going, wow, listen to those two trombones together. And then, okay, now the trumpets, okay. And then, now they're not playing together, so it's possible they're a little bit off from each other, just barely, that maybe definitely if they were playing together live, they would cohese into that same spot and play to each other rather than one person playing to the other. So I had to play a little bit of God with fixing some, occasional notes here or there because it's not the same way we would record, but then not kill it. Because with a computer, you can make things 100% perfect, 100% tuned, 100% accurate. Then it sounds like MIDI keyboard. It sounds dumb. It sounds stiff. So I think I didn't kill it, and we still have human feeling and imperfection. I tell people, I never want to play a perfect gig or a perfect song at the expense of nothing musical and good happening. Perfection, overrated. It's what we put into it and that musical moments and energy and human imperfection, and that coming from the heart, that is what makes people want to listen to music. That's why I think people sometimes don't listen to music as much now. They hear stuff that's too perfect. So there's no drama in the listening, like, I wonder if that will sound good on the second chorus of the Beyonce tune. Of course it's going to sound just as good as the first. They copied and pasted it, and it's perfect. And big deal. Why do I need it? It's like watching a Dodger game if you know the outcome. Like, maybe not as exciting. So if you know the outcome's going to be perfect, you're not going to listen all the way or want to listen again. It's when there's imperfections. Those are what's beautiful, and that's what's human. My one ear is different than my other ear. My one leg's longer than the other one. There's some imperfections in us, and that's what makes us great and different from each other.
Man, I love that answer. Bernie, thank you for opening up about the Pugilist and this weird COVID world. Good luck with everything as we move forward with the album and live work on the stage.
Right, and appreciate you playing cuts from the new album. And people go to me also, well, how do I buy music now? So just know where you buy your socks or whatever at Amazon, and it shows up at your doorstep. That's how you buy music, Amazon, or you can go to my website, BernieDresel.com. And Dresel is with one S, so you can find it. Okay.
Beautiful. I love it.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview. We give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in Los Angeles, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Bernie for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at YouTube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.